Concrete Countertops, I was just gonna go through a couple of basics of laying the forms down. These are the Z Counterforms for the square edge. And so they come in two different, you're gonna have two different types of forms to lay your, especially a perimeter countertop. So this is gonna be the profile for that square edge. So it's gonna fit on here just like this. And then the other piece is gonna go on the edge of the perimeter, obviously like we have this here. So a couple of things to point out. Because this drops down, it gives you the appearance of a lot wider countertop. So this is about 2 1/4, but you're actually only pouring that 1.5 inches or so because it drops down. So because you have this drop down, you want to make sure that your substrate material is at least 5/8 of an inch. So we used 1/4 inch plywood, and then we used a hardy backer board that measures a little over 3/8 of an inch. So you have the plywood and you have the hardy backer board on top. You definitely want to use some type of Durock or hardy backer board as your top substrate because of the way when you pour the concrete, that's going to help that concrete soak in a little bit, whereas the plywood will repel it. Okay, so a couple of different types of cuts. This is we've already done this section of the countertop completely. So there's 4 different types of cuts on this portion of the countertop. On this outside edge, so this is gonna be their standard corner, it's gonna be mitered at 45. We haven't taped this up yet, but as you'll see, it cuts a really nice clean edge, and then we'll just tape that up and fill in all those cracks. Okay, that's one type of corner. Now this type of corner, we want this side to be flush. We don't want any overhang on this countertop because our oven's gonna slide in here. And so to get this, we got just a piece of 3/4 inch plywood. You can use 1x, you can use any material you want. And you're gonna fasten that flush with the top of both forms. Now this is gonna give a clean edge all the way from the side of the cabinet up to the top of the concrete. As you'll notice here though, what we had to do is notch out. So this is notched out. What that's gonna do is allow the concrete to pour over this so that you don't see the edge of that once you pull this form off. So we did the same thing in this corner. We just notched out right here so that you don't see the edge of that, and it allows the concrete to pour over. Okay, so that's one corner. So that's 3 different corners, and then our last corner, as you can see, is an outside corner as well, where we did want an overhang. And so what we did there is we notched out the sidewall form so that it slides up to this without coming up. And again, that's just gonna allow all the concrete to fill in there. So when this form comes off, you'll just see that nice straight edge. Okay, so those are the different types of corners. You can see here's an unfinished corner that we haven't added the board to, and I'll show you what that's gonna look like. So you can see how we notched it out here and here. And then I'm gonna just take this board and I'm gonna mount it right to the edge. And I'm just gonna I just use finished screws here and here, and that's gonna give us that edge that we can take off once the concrete's set. Inside edges are gonna be the same, just simple miter. So here's our edge that's already cut. So we're gonna put it here, it's gonna slide right up against in the corner. So it's just that inside mitered edge. Okay, so over here, moving to the sink. This is a 36-inch base cabinet. I have a 33-inch apron front sink. We just dry fitted it just so that we could easily set it on something. We're gonna change this mounting a little bit once we pour the concrete, but we want about 1/8 of an inch under the concrete just to get the apron front sink to slide in. So that's gonna be a slide in installation. So we chose just to use the forms provided to give that overhang that'll give a flush, no reveal. The concrete will line up with the inside of the sink. You can also have a reveal, but you would have to create your own, modify your own forms for that. So this again is just gonna be 45 all the way around. So this is gonna slide up here. We're gonna have the same kind of corner on the other side. And then so once this is all poured, we'll just be able to slide in the sink under and it'll be flush with this edge of this, with the edge of the concrete. I think that's all the corners that we're doing. A couple of things, as you'll see again, we use the Hardy backer. I feel like it crumbles less than the Duroc. Some of the screws that you'll need, this is the type of screws that you'll need because you don't want to go through the substrate completely, but you want to obviously make sure and anchor it. So we use number 10, 5/8 inch, the pan head Phillips. So what that's going to do is it's going to anchor that, it's going to anchor these two pieces together. And then also, we use the same screws to anchor the form to the substrate. So I pre-drilled some holes just so that this doesn't break or split. I'm going to show you guys how I did that. So I just used just like a 3/4 inch plywood. So I would say every like 6 to 8 inches or so. I have two different kinds of bits that I'm using. I'm using a masonry bit to pre-drill. If you have to drill into the Hardy backer board, I think that works really well, just to break that a little bit before you drill any screws. And then I just have a regular bit that I'll pre-drill the form before I actually attach it to the substrate. So it's really simple. Again, I just put it on here to give it some form. So we'll go. Okay, so that's super easy. Obviously, so now you have your holes here. This one goes, I don't know where this one goes. This one go here. So now that we have these holes, I'm gonna go ahead and attach this one. I'm gonna grab I'm gonna grab the masonry bit and my screws. Get these out of the way. Into that. Okay, so then we're gonna grab our screws. I'm using an impact driver, which I do think is the best tool for this. So we're gonna make sure that lines up really nice. Okay, so you can see that gives that a really nice clean edge. And that's really all we're gonna do to get these forms set. So one more thing you can really do to help with your measuring is just to take two pieces of the form. Let me find a pencil. Just take two pieces of the form and you're gonna scribe a line. And then just go on the other side, scribe a line. So now you know where that perfect corner is. So now when you're doing your measuring, you have a place to measure from. It'll be your inside cut for your corner.